accountants here. Ben is here and Diane, our accountant, or we'll call you our accountant. Okay, I would like a motion to approve the agenda and approve the previous committee meeting minutes from November sixth, 2025.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Pfluger,
Second.
second by Hummel. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that moves. Public comment. I see we have a couple of residents here. I see Larry, you'd like to speak?
Yes, please.
Okay, do you want to use the podium or do you want to come, whatever you feel comfortable with, okay?
Closer than what I don't know.
Okay, usually we give 5 minutes, but, if it goes over, that's fine, or we want to hear our citizens' concerns.
So, good afternoon, and thank you for allowing the public comment. I live on FHRIT Trail in the village, and I'm here on behalf of a number of residents on Nepco Lake. We remain very concerned about the imbalance between property taxes we pay and the services that are provided. This ratio is out of balance, and that's frankly not sustainable. We raised this issue last year during the 2026 budgeting process and followed your direction to attend the public hearing. We showed up, we spoke, we engaged in good faith. We were encouraged to see that 3 motions were proposed to correct our imbalance, but none were even seconded. Then we heard it was too late to make changes. That process and experience has left us even more frustrated and frankly quite disillusioned. My request tonight is simple. Please acknowledge this discrepancy and help us understand what's the best path forward. What steps can we take together to ensure the fairness, whether through service adjustments or through a tax review? We're committed to collaborating, but we need clarity about the process and the timeline for progress. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Larry. I guess first of all, does any trustee have any comment to the concerns of and Larry, you can stay up here if you'd like until I guess I'm just seeing if any trustees want to have any comments or anything.
I have a comment that, and actually I was going to save it till general comments or at the end. But my recommendation and my request is that we do a debrief of our budget process going forward, so that we can address some of the matters that came up that were apparently out of process or whatever, or the process wasn't really clear about that. And that's a common thing to do. Usually within a month after an event, you debrief and look at the ordinance itself, the process that has been in place, and what worked, and are there anything that didn't work, and how can we improve? So my request would be, and I can keep it till the end, is to recommend that this committee do a debrief of our budget process so we can either keep it exactly the same or improve it for next year.
Okay, that's fair.
And I will make from my position, obviously, we set up the budget process. I think it was in August, we set the dates for committee of the wholes, committees to discuss budget questions, people's wishes, wants, and things like that. So I think that some of the questions that came up towards the end of it, I think if we would have had those back in September, October, we could have ran those through committees. I know one of our trustees recommended, the 3 motions. There was a parks one, there was a streets and roads. They would all come back to the financial, but I know when they came through, we had 2 committees of the whole meetings. And since the way the budget process go, we have to get into Wood County by early December. We move all the meetings ahead. So there wasn't any committee meetings scheduled anymore. So I do believe your concerns. I understand them. I wish we could have had those maybe at the first committee of the whole, because I think, and again, I don't speak for the board. The board the board could have had the discussion on those, and if they went anywhere or not, that's not my position, I guess, but from my position, if we would have had those written in a hard stone that we could hand it out at maybe the first meeting, that might have helped at least of what exactly we were looking for the motions. So hopefully that makes sense. And I know that's not what you want to hear, but this process is a 2.5 month process. It can be longer, but we need to start those questions earlier. If it's committee, I mean, everything we do talk about goes through committee. So if there's a recommendation that you guys would like, we need to start it in committee, have discussions about it. And if we don't get maybe what you get the answers there, we can take it to the full board and they can vote yes or no, or have a discussion on it. I do think this needs more of a discussion, probably from the whole board than just individual committees. And I think that's one way moving forward with this question that you guys have. We need to decide as a board, they need to sit down and make a decision, yes or no, how they want to move forward with this. Last year we had an IDOC committee. I was on it. Some of you guys were, Larry was, Eric was, we brought other people and it ended and not maybe right or wrong, but that kind of ended the conversation. It never really went anywhere. And then obviously towards the end of the budget process, you brought up some more concerns. And I guess, at that point we were kind of done with the budget, right or wrong. I understand that, but we need to have these conversations earlier and the board needs to direct myself and, if they want to put money in these, obviously that's how they direct me from committee saying, Ben, you need to make sure that we have them, this is one of our wishes. We want these taken care of. So that gets directed through the board through me.
I guess the only other comment that I'm gonna make is, just when the motions were brought up, like we were already into the process. It's not that the motions can't be brought up again. I have some, I'd like to do more research myself on some of the motions that were brought up. Some of it, I think maybe some of the residents were misled by the developer of that district when everything came through. I was an employee here at the time and there was a different administrator at the time. And, I know they had meetings with Saratoga, they had meetings with Grand Rapids, and they had meetings with the developer, and the developer was always, both of them were coming to meetings. And I guess my question is to do maybe some more research on that and maybe even contact the developers and say, what did you guys tell these people when they were buying their lots? What were you telling them when they were building their homes? Because they were telling us that it was very clear to the residents that this is kind of a buy-in, and then you're gonna be coming back to the village of Port Edwards within the time period. Now, if they did that or not, I don't know. I wasn't there. But I guess I'd like to do some more research and a debriefing. We definitely can do. But I do have some concerns myself of, it's almost like maybe a bag of goods was sold, not totally on the up and up.
So I think getting a summary of the ad hoc committee, sharing that with the board could respond to your questions already, because we did do that research. We spent multiple meetings going through that and understanding that very well, and we need a summary of that. And see, this is why I think the debrief would be really helpful, because there are several issues that would have been helpful to have done. I don't recall at any of the other meetings, even with the committee as a whole, if anybody saying, does anybody have any other adjustments they want to make? I don't recall that. The process of the ordinance says you could make changes at the public, after the public hearing, and we were told it's too late. So we just need to, let's do a debrief.
Yeah.
I think changes can be made. It's just the motions have to be passed. So if I represent it wrong,
Well,
we can change it, but obviously you brought up 3 motions. If they would have got second, we would have went back on. I mean, they could change the budget that night if it had been second and the board wanted to change
so,
it.
And that's a whole thing too. So let's just debrief. We kind of started it just a minute ago. You can see that there was a value in doing that. And I'm going to recommend this committee do that. And
So-
we can move forward.
I kind of want to second what Ben said. Some of that stuff was brought in late. You've said a couple of times that, there was no place for anybody to bring things up. There's always a place. You always have that right as a
Yeah.
board member to do that.
Okay.
Either I'm just telling you.
Let's do the debrief.
Well,
Because I will say, Betsy, I ask at a meeting, please have the board tell us what value you see of the lake, no response. So you can't make motions without knowing, are you guys in or out? Is the village in or out on the lake? So let's do the big debrief. You said it's late. Ordinance says we could have done it,
We could have, just,
but we didn't, and we didn't even have a discussion. So let's just do the debrief.
Well, we can move along on this meeting and decide,
so what I was gonna suggest is we do a committee of the whole debrief, not just our committee, because this affects the entire board. Going forward for this year, it affects the entire board. So I think if you're in agreement, and maybe I'll bring this up at the board meeting next week, while everybody's here, we do one in February before
Thank you, that would be
the other
great.
meeting.
I think I'd love,
Because like I
I-
said, it affects everybody.
I'd second that idea, and the sooner the better. Cool, thank you very much.
okay. Hopefully that answers some of your questions, and I know it doesn't give you a definitive answer, but it's not that, I guess, when trustee Hummel says, do we value the Lake District, or I value every single village resident. Not over there, over here. I don't look at it as Knuckle Lake District. I don't look at it where I live, Upper Fourth Street, or you know, I look at it as one whole village. I village all the residents. I always want to give a person or any resident a chance to come here, explain. We'll definitely talk about it, and we might not give you the answer you want to hear, but we'll definitely discuss it and have the discussion. So hopefully that helps you out.
Can I have 20 seconds?
Sure, yes, you can.
So I thank you for all of that discussion. I think that's helpful. I think the process is either broken or misunderstood or both. Because we were told, come to the public hearing. If the public hearing wasn't the place to come to, then we were just misinformed. So I think a debrief would help. And hopefully we've got clarity so we can move forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks.
Yep, sure.
Okay, with that, I think the chairman's comments were all included in that. So I'm gonna move right to number 7. I'd like to make a motion to approve the monthly bills, journal entries, and previous month and financial report. I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Second by Fluger. Any discussion?
Yeah, I do, just for information, education purposes, if you don't mind. If we could go to the, budget comparison, document. And I'm asking these now because I want to be able to approve them with knowledge as opposed to without any knowledge. Do I read this correctly? That, at the bottom of that reconciliation that we were over budget, by a couple $100,000 and, a total of 5% of the total budget was over budget. Is that correct?
I would have to ask Diane.
Yeah, when I sent it out, I said if you had any questions, you should call. I don't have a copy with me. I'd have to. look
Yeah, well,
over
you
it.
sent it out yesterday, so I didn't a whole lot of time to do that. So, but it's here in writing. And then I'm wondering, did that amount get paid from the, whatever that account is unused?
That's not an account. That's not money. I mean, we'll probably have the auditor explain that to you. That's just
I was gonna bring it
done in our figuring, it to help us figure what our cash on hand might be at the end of the year. That's not part of the budget.
And so how did we pay 5%, 5.93% more than budget? How did we reconcile that this last year?
I'd have to look at it closer to see what you're.
If you could do that and report, that would be very helpful. And then the last piece would be on the account balances sheet. I don't know, what is WUT savings? Could you tell me what that
Water
is?
utility,
Pardon me?
water utility.
Water utility savings, great. And then at the bottom, it talks about a village emergency fund of $16,950. What is that fund? And is that a budgeted fund?
That's an account that we've had since before I was here. So emergency maintenance fund, is that what it is?
It says,
Yes, emergency
Yes.
maintenance fund.
Yeah,
Village Emergency Fund.
yeah, I think it's just money that was stuck in there and they try to keep a balance, so in case something comes up that the village has to buy, that really wasn't budgeted, we'd at least have something.
Was that in the budget? I mean, is it budgeted amount? Did we,
That's been in there, it's been carried over.
okay.
It wasn't in this year's budget.
And the last one, it talks about included in general savings cash amount above. What? Funds and accounts committed to specific purposes, I get that part. Negative amounts supported by the cash in general savings. What's the general savings?
Well, we just have the general savings account and the water utility account, so wastewater is in there too, and the funds are all in there, so that all that money's in that one account. We don't have separate accounts for each 400 account.
Okay, so when we spend out of a general savings account or an emergency fund, who decides that gets funded, that we use that money?
Well, the board would decide.
The board
that.
did?
Would have to
I
approve.
don't recall the board
We didn't
making a
spend
motion
any
to
of it.
spend that.
We didn't spend any of the emergency maintenance fund money.
You didn't? Well, okay, it's very
Well-
confusing to me how then we're 5.93%. We spent more than that, but we didn't spend any money that we didn't have and the board knew. I don't think the board knew that.
We're not
Well,
over budget right now.
no.
We're not over
I
budget.
didn't think we were
What-
either.
what-
I think, you know, and some of these questions could probably go to the auditor, and I know Diane's,
Or in my office, so I can look at stuff.
or Diane would be more than willing to take a look at it. I don't have it in front of me, but I know that I had some of the similar questions when I first started with the board. And it's kind of it's, Diane can explain it well when the numbers are in front and show you, but the budget itself, way that I kind of take it is, has a buffer. And, you know, kind of like the emergency fund, if a furnace goes out, boom, they put a new furnace in, which could be $5,000-6,000, probably more on a big commercial building. But I think that Diane probably could explain that more when the numbers are in front, and she'll be in tomorrow, of course. But I know I had some of the similar questions. It looks different the way it is on the budget. And I would suggest that you go in and talk to her and she can show you and tell you what these numbers are all about.
It makes it hard to approve it
Right,
without
and-
knowing that. And I'm just,
Right,
for me,
yeah.
400 accounts, the balances in there are not part of the budget for this year. They're already in there.
yeah, so, okay, I mean, I'll come and we'll
Talk
spend a
to,
fair amount of time, but I don't think I'm the only board member that doesn't fully understand it or could explain it to a citizen. That's my.
okay, yeah, and I mean, the 400 accounts is money that we keep setting aside.
I get that part.
Okay,
That's fine. But these
Okay.
emergency funds or whatever, I didn't see that listed in budget and so forth, and it just makes it hard when a citizen comes to me and says, well, there's money there, and I go, well, I don't think there is,
okay,
you know,
yeah,
and I need to be able to explain that if I'm a board member, I think.
Yeah.
Well, for me, if it's the village emergency fund, it's just that, it's an emergency fund, like Lon said, something goes out, so we have that
Great.
buffer.
But where is it in the budget? I didn't.
It was never.
It's not
put in there.
It's not in the
It's-
budget.
It put in there, previous administration put it in there probably 5 years ago, when if a furnace blows out, this was something.
No, I understand it, but
So that money just keeps rolling over.
I understand that, but I'm not sure. That's why we need the auditor. I'm not sure that's a good accounting process to have money that doesn't show up in a budget or can't be explained to people when it gets spent or how it gets spent. I just don't think I've been in many finance business things and I always be able to understand it. I don't understand it.
It's a pretty common governmental accounting technique, simply because the budget is, expenses and income. Like that is, we get the tax levy that comes in, we get the grant programs that come in, and then the monies go out. this lies outside of that because it's earmarked for a specific emergency purpose. So when we're talking budget, it's not income, it's not expense. It'll be expense if something happens and we need to go into that. And at that point, then the village board will have to come together and say, we allocate $12,500 for a new piece of equipment for Ben. You know, that was unforeseen in the budgetary process. So you got levy coming in, you got expenses going out. This is neither. It's not anything expense wise until the emergency arises that requires us to act.
A budget is more than expense and revenue. And that's maybe, maybe I just need to be better educated, but that to me is, less than full transparency about money.
It's an expense when, okay, so let's say in the budget, they say, we want to put $20,000 into this 400 account. That year, when that's put in there, that's when it's an expense out of the budget. Then when it's spent out of the 400 account, that's not an expense from that budget.
Yeah.
Because that was already an expense from that previous budget when it was put in.
It was an expense.
Well, I'll come and talk about, I'm just saying, it's very complicated, and when a citizen asks me, I can't explain it.
It is kind of a complicated thing, but it's,
No different than our revenues, our grants and stuff come in.
Yeah, I see that.
That we
spend the money
we spend
before.
more money than what we have budgeted, but then the grants come in as revenue. So when you look at your expenses, it's gonna show different until it's in the revenue count.
Yeah. Well, that summary makes it look like we spent, what, 6% more. And,
well, see, and
no, I don't want to get into it now.
okay,
I'll talk
but
about it.
it's kind of like, you know, the EMS, the fire department got a nice grant. And I can't remember exactly what it was, but we had to put the money up forward before we got the money
Yeah, I
back.
understand.
So it looks like we're actually over, but we're not.
I understand all that. It just doesn't look, it's hard to understand unless I get these verbal explanations all the time. And coming December and I see those numbers and it's like, well, wait a minute, I knew the supplies, I knew the EMS thing because I asked about them.
Right.
Had I not asked, it just looks like it's a number that is over budget. And maybe we need more explanation during the year. That's part of the debrief. So we'll talk
Definitely.
about
Okay, any other comment on that motion to approve the monthly bills? Journal entries and previous months in financial report? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
it. I'm abstaining.
Abstaining? Okay, 2 ayes and abstain. With that, that motion passes. Number 8, a discussion and possible motion to award the full-time employees a $50 chamber gift certificate as a safety award for only one lost incident in the last 29 years. This is a budgeted item. I will make that motion.
And I'll second. I have questions, so.
Second. With that, open for discussion.
Is this a necessary motion? Because I believe we already voted on this last year, correct? To approve the amount and then it went into the budget?
So this is a lot of another question that we, some things that are put in the budget and the budget's voted on in December, all this is included in there. But just to keep the board aware of where finances or money is going is why we do this.
Okay.
It's really, in past President Zerflu basically brought a lot of this, at least you guys would be aware that we are doing this. Does it really need the full motion? No different than if I'm working with MSA to do a project. We've okayed the money to do surveying this year in the budget. And we spend it. Some, things like this that go to all employees and things like this, we do bring you guys for motion just for clarity. So with your 100%.
Yeah, I have absolutely no problem with it. I'm intending on voting for it. It's just a matter of necessity at this point because it's something we already acted on last year. We included in the budget. And for me, motions and action on items that are already budgeted seems like kind of a waste of time. And I probably just wasted more time just discussing
It's
this.
just more or less that discussion at the table.
And I think we can bring that up when we do a debriefing. I think that would be another thing, because once that money's set aside,
My list.
the department heads we've already okayed that money to be spent.
Correct. And we voted on this last year. It was
Correct.
sometime October, November, before the budget process. We voted on giving everyone this $50,
No, we don't really, but we didn't really vote on that specifically. We just voted on all the package, I guess, the
Okay.
employee package is what you're saying.
Yeah, I remember discussing this at
Yeah.
least. So we discussed it. I
Correct,
don't
yep.
remember if there was necessarily, but once it goes into the budget, from my perspective, you know, on public safety, like if police department or the fire department wants to spend money that's already budgeted to them, great. You know, that's why we give you a budget. So it's just, again, I like the fact that we're at least discussing it, but I question the necessity of doing things that are already budgeted.
Discussion point versus emotion.
Correct. And I'd be perfectly fine with that.
I support that. I love the idea that we're being informed and we need to do the whole board. But I'm agreeing. If we've approved it as a whole, let the managers use it, as they see fit.
With that, any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion passes. We'll go to number 9, discussion and possible motion to approve Service Award Program, SAP, payment for 2025 qualified firefighters in the amount of 391 cents per firefighter. In that amount of $1,805.46. And the annual corresponding maintenance fee of $920 for a total of $2,725.46. This is also a budgeted item. I will make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Radke, second by Fluger. Any discussion?
So this is the retirement program for the firemen, allocated on so many calls, meetings they need to make, and also on years to be on the fire department. So this is something over the years with a newer, younger group that we definitely have seen a decline in what our total is. And obviously it'll keep going back up. We were up $5,000-6,000 a few years ago. So now we're down. So, but it's a reward to be on the fire department. It's a retirement system that we pay into for firemen that make the right meetings and calls to.
And being in protective service, not as a firefighter, but as a police officer, I respect the firefighters for what they do, the calls they go on, the EMS. It takes a special person to go and do those things and go to trainings and go through all that they do. So I think that this is the very least amount that we can do.
Yeah, same discussion, my same comment as the other one. I'm totally supportive of it. If it's in the budget, that's sufficient for me.
Okay, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion passes. Old business. I do not have any. Does anybody have any old business?
Do you have an update on how the website has been going? Any concerns, questions?
Oh, it's been going good. We've got about 16, 18 people that have subscribed to it.
Okay.
But no, we've had nothing but good. I mean, they're using for taxes, water bills. We've had any issues, so I think it's working good. So no issues there.
The only thing, and this is a web town thing, not a village thing, is when they send text messages, it's the same heading for, so I subscribe to Tri-Lakes, I subscribe to the Lake District, I subscribe to the village. The heading is the same for all 3 of those, so it's kind of weird that way that, I don't know.
You don't know who it is.
Yeah, I don't know who it is until you dig into the detail.
Okay.
So I'm wondering if that's something, and we can check that out from the Lake District thing and report back to you guys.
I can just send an email around that we have people that have more than one town
Yeah.
webs, and if there's a categorized way.
Yeah, I mean, it's a small picky thing, but, it'd be nice to know from the heading who's sending me text messages.
And I'm one of the administrators of the Everbridge system that the county uses, and we have the ability to change, and ours just says Wood County alerts. We can change the heading, we can change the recipient, we can change the numbers that things come from. So I'm guessing / hopeful that TownWeb has the ability to do that, at least to say Port Edwards alerts, as opposed to NEPCO Lake District alerts or Tri Lakes District alerts.
Or whatever it.
Or something to that nature, so you can clarify that, but it should be a relatively easy thing, but again, I'm not gonna speak for them because I don't work for them. But that's a very valid point.
You like to Everbridge.
Been in Everbridge?
I do it every time and say, yes, I got it.
Anything else for old business?
Nice.
Anything for new business?
I might just have a couple updates on a couple employees. Our wastewater operator is having his shoulder replaced. It's nothing, not work related. He talked to me, it's a good time to do it, being a downtime, everything will be covered, no extra manpower, anything there. Once his doctor lets him come back, he'll be back, and our police chief is also going in for surgery next week. And he'll be out for a couple weeks, until he's able to come back. He'll be available by cell phone or email most of the time, I would imagine, but just so if you do see those two employees, they're both out on medical leave. Wastewater operators on now, and the police chief will be out starting next week, Wednesday. Both are non-related to work, so. That's
Okay.
all I have in new business.
I guess the only other, I guess, would like to go for agenda. Correspondence received or any other new business, sorry. Correspondence received. I did get a call from a resident concerned about his tax rate. And, I discussed it with him and, I also talked with Ben and,
So I did,
Ben, I did give him your number and, I told him to give you a call. And he was cordial, just had some questions and, did he give you a call?
yep, so we followed up last night. He has a question about his assessment value. And obviously the village assessor is the one that sets the assessment values. We don't do that. And I put him in the direction with the assessor and he had a conversation with him today. And he understands that how the system goes and is put in place. So I think he's got the answers he was looking for, so.
Okay, thanks for following up on that, Ben. Anybody else receive any correspondence? Okay, agenda items for the next meeting. Well, I guess that we kind of talked about maybe, that would be with Betsy, a meeting of the whole for
Mhm.
debriefing on the
Yep,
budget
bring it up.
process that,
I'll bring it up next week. I already listed a couple of dates that work well for me in February.
okay,
So that we can at least kind of get on the same page for that. And then I'll actually see if not only we can debrief on that, we can maybe see if the auditor.
The village
Sure.
auditor will be here in the end of February, so at that point, he'll be able to go through everything, so if we wanna push that a little bit, that way has gone through all of our,
We'll have the 19th and the 26th listed, so.
the 20th or something.
23rd to the 20th.
Okay,
You know, that, I mean, he's, you know, that way he looks over the financials, if there's anything that we have concerns, you know.
I was just
How
trying
we
to
do the
make one-
budget the way we do, and if it works out, it would
one
be.
big one with him there while he's in the area. Yeah.
and
You have him there for the meeting of the whole and talking about our budget process
Well,
or?
he just kind of explains that way, if you have questions with budgeting stuff, again, that way, he's already here, he's gone through our books at that.
You understand that?
I understand the debrief is different. I understand what you're talking. I'll have two separate ones, but that way, while he's here, we could just maximize his time here.
Well, I just want to thank you all for taking that seriously and considering a debrief. I just think that's real important to several of our citizens, and clarity transparency is really, really important. And I think that'll help tremendously. So thank you.
okay, and then I have, the next meeting would be February 5th at 4 o'clock, am I right, Diane? I think it's the Thursday before.
Correct.
So we'll tentatively put it at that. If anybody has any issues with it, please call me or text me or whatever you guys do now, or send a pigeon or how that
No
goes.
signals?
Shout from my front yard,
Yeah.
cause you'll hear me.
With that, any other comments from anyone, Ben? Diane, do you have anything? Betsy,
Nope, I'm good.
Eric?
Bring it in here.
Well, good. Thank you.
Okay, with that, then we will adjourn the meeting at 4:34. Thank you. Thank you very much for coming to our meeting.